Hi. Right, I wanted to talk today about credit files. Credit files, credit reports, credit scores. Do you know the difference? Do you know why it's important? If you're interested, then I'd love for you to listen. I'm Manda, the mortgage coach, and I'm here to help educate you because I believe everybody has a right to own their own home. Now, basically, to break it down, how we start is, what is a credit file? Now, whenever you apply for credit, be it a credit card, be it a loan, personal loan or secured loan, i.e. mortgage, or HP, car finance, even insurance, when you're, doing the car, you're doing compare the market for building insurance, contents insurance, as I said, car insurance, they will all do searches on you. Now, what does that mean? It appears on your credit file. So what was originally happening was every time you apply, that third party, whoever it is, Direct Line if it's car insurance, HSBC if it's a personal loan, they want to know if you're good with credit. One, if you have it. Two, if you're good with it, i.e. you pay it on time and you don't go into arrears, overdrafts, that kind of thing. Pay it late, which is arrears, missed payments, late payments, that kind of thing. So they created these things called credit files, and they use the credit agencies. So you've got Equifax, Experian, TransUnion, and what they basically do is they create files on you in the background, and then the third party would ask to have a look at that file to find out whether you were good with credit. Now, a lot of people, consumers, were asking to get access to these credit files. So credit reports were created. They're more user-friendly and easier for you to look through. So these were created for the consumer to have a look at. Then, in order to make it a bit simpler, they started putting credit scores. But that isn't very simple because depending on the credit agency, TransUnion goes up to a certain level, Equifax goes up to a certain level, TransUnion goes up to a certain level. The only thing that they have in common is the traffic light system. So you've got green, which is go, and go get credit basically, and it means that you've got a very good to excellent score. Then you've got amber, which is in the sort of medium range, normally good, and then you've got red, which is obviously a bit of a concern. So always look at the colour and work it out from there. But it's good, and I'll put the link in the chat to check my file. But basically that gives you access to all of the credit agencies, and then that way you can see what each credit agency's got on you, because what people don't always know is the third party that actually, once you've applied for that credit and they have to put it on with an agency, they don't always put it with all three. One, because it's costly. Two, because they may not have the time. And three, which is probably the main reason, they don't have to put it with everybody. So why would they waste their time, right? So basically, I wanted to give you 3 tips on how to improve and sort of move from either red to amber or amber to green, or light green to dark green. It should improve your credit score, give you higher points, and make you more attractive for borrowing to lenders. Now, number 1 is register to vote. Even if you're not going to vote, make sure you're on the electoral roll. You can even opt out of receiving anything, but make sure you're registered on the electoral roll. By doing that, you create an address history. Now, whenever you're borrowing, especially mortgages, they want to have at least 3 years address history. So the sooner you register to vote, the sooner you start building up that history, and the sooner it gives the lender a bit more comfort because they know where you've been, they know what's been. Based on that, the address history, have a look at it. Check that every single address is yours. There's no addresses that you never lived there. There's no addresses missing, because it does muck up your credit score. And it's a really simple thing for you to check because you know where you live and where you lived, and look at the dates as well. I once had a client that it was down that he was still living at an address. He didn't bother to change it. And then when the EDF was trying to get their money back for the utilities, he was the one who was getting taken to court because he was registered still living there when he'd moved out ages ago. So just make a list, say, did I live there? When did I live there? If you've got any disputes, I'll go over that right at the end. The next thing I wanted to look at is your credit commitments. Now, the beginning part of the report is all about what is active, and then the middle part of the report, I should say, is all about closed accounts. Now, make sure you're aware of every single account that's on that report. Does it seem right to you? If it's not, make a list. And again, I'll explain how you can dispute it later. But when you're looking at it, you need to first look at the name of the name that it's got. Has it got your full name properly spelt? Or is it, if there's any words different or it's slightly off, make sure that that is correct, because you don't want to have someone else's credit card on your account. You don't. So make sure all of that's correct. Then look at your bank, look at your statements, like your credit card statement, and compare, or look on the app on your phone and say, okay, on my report it says I've got a limit of 1,000. On my app it says I've got a limit of only 800. Double check those things. They all have to match. Then look at your balance. Obviously there's timing issues, so the balance on your account isn't going to be 100% correct all the time, but just match up the date. Say, okay, this probably will be from a couple of days ago. Let me have a look on my app. What was my balance a couple of days ago? Make sure you've got all of that, and you're matching it all up. Make sure the addresses that are registered to each individual account are also the correct ones. And just does it look reasonable? Then that's for your active accounts. Then look at your closed accounts and just make sure they are genuinely closed, or whether they should still be active, or that kind of thing. Just make sure. Just because they're closed doesn't mean that they're not looked at. Everything on your report is looked at for 6 years. So if you make a late payment or a missed payment, ask them about taking it off as a goodwill gesture. Don't just think, oh, it's a closed account, it doesn't have any effect. It does. Some banks look at things for the whole 6 years. Some are a bit more forgiving. They'll be looking at 3 to 4 years, some in the last 18 months. But the ones that are a bit more relaxed, i.e., if there was a late or missed payment in the last 18 to 24 months, you will pay for it by having a higher interest rate mortgage, the rate that you pay your mortgage. So it's worth getting those things looked at and sorted out. If you keep an eye on your credit report while you're saving your deposit, it gives you the opportunity to go to credit agencies to get things fixed and things like that. The last thing I wanted to talk about today, because I will be doing more credit videos, but the last thing I wanted to talk about today is financial links. Now, basically that means if you were living with someone, again, I had a client and he was a student, he lived with 3 other students, so because they all lived together, they were all on the tenancy agreement, they were all on the utilities agreement together, he is now financially linked with them. You can actually go to the credit agency and you can say, I'm no longer financially linked. Just like when you get divorced from someone, you go to the credit agency and say, I am no longer financially linked, because their credit score can bring you down. I once had a client and I was trying to get her a mortgage and she couldn't, even though her credit score was in the high 900s, right in the darkest of green, but her ex had a really, really low credit score and was still missing payments and doing what he was doing. Now, she thought, well, we're divorced now, different surnames, but on her credit report, it still showed them as linked. So she had to go to the credit agency and get that link severed. So then when she applies, it doesn't bring her down. I was literally told by a lender that she's not getting a mortgage because of her financial associate. And I'm like, but she's divorced. They're like, we don't care. So make sure you get those severed. So financial links, financial associates, is really, really important. Now, I've gone through the top 3 tips of credit reports. 1, register to vote. 2, check out all the addresses. That's kind of under registered to vote, so it's kind of a one and a half, and then all your credit commitments, what are active, what are closed, make sure it's all accurate and up to date. And then the last thing, check your financial links. And the one top tip I would say to you is, if there's anything that's in arrears or missed, if there's just a couple and it's not like the whole thing, go to them, ask them. So for instance, if you missed one payment with a credit card for HSBC, ask HSBC. But at the same time, if it's showing up on your Equifax report but not on your Experian, go to Equifax, file a request for it to be removed, and then go to Check My File and file a request for it to be removed as well. And if you file with all three of them, it will speed up the process, and you've got a higher likelihood of it happening, a higher likelihood of you not being ignored. So try all those things and let me know in the chat, let me know in the comments if it improved your credit score. You don't have to say my score is 999 and, you know, my score was 666 and it's now 999, or whatever you want to say. You can say, oh, it's improved by 50, it's improved by this, or you can just say it's improved, or just give me a thumbs up. That's great. So I've loved talking to you all. If you've got any questions about credit reports, if there's anything else you want me to go through, I will be doing more videos on credit reports, because I've got loads to say on it. But I just thought today I'd just start with the first three tips. But I'm more than happy to go through more. So please feel free to put comments in the chat and let me know. And of course, subscribe, and as they all say, press the bell. Thanks for your time. Take care. Everybody has a right to own their own home. Bye-bye.